Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today we're going to be making a tier list of all of the hero cards in Hearthstone based off of how I super subjectively find their card design to be. Basically, do I think this card is cool or not? So we have 5 amazing tiers here. Goated for when it's goated. For those of you who don't know, GOAT stands for greatest of all time. And so you say goated like the kids these days if you want to sound cool like I am. Then we have very cool for the things that are very cool, pretty cool for the things that aren't quite as cool as the very cool ones, mid for the things that are alright, and yuck for the things that I wish didn't exist. It's the perfect tier list because I say so, and I guess let's start filling it out. So first up we have Shadowreaper Anduin. And Shadowreaper Anduin both looks very cool, says funny things, has an effect I really like, but I think actually it's Raza that has the effect I really like, right? So it's like Anduin is a component of Raza. But yeah, it looks cool, it's satisfying, and he has like the best concede line in the whole game. So do we goat it or do we very cool? He might be goated, pretty sure. Then we have Valera the Hollow, who is also very spooky and cool. I think I really like the hero power. And I really like the I really like the hero power. I kind of like the battle cry, but the mana has always been so high that you don't really get that good of a use out of it. It's like a mill rogue quest rogue tool from back when. I do think it's fun. Like I really liked going Zola the Gorgon infinite, because you can like Zola something interesting, then Zola your Zola, and then keep going infinite like that. So I liked that type of value package. Was really fun. I'm gonna give Valera a pretty cool because I think she's pretty cool. You don't think the cost changes if it's cool or not? I think so. If the cost prohibits it from ever being even vaguely playable, I think it matters. Then we have Xyrella, and Xyrella is very funny because you could put a bunch of Albatross into your opponent's deck, but I could never make that even YouTube's worthy. I never made that video, right? Like I was really excited to make a Xyrella video where the whole point was to shuffle a bunch of birds into the opponent's deck, and I don't think I ever made it. It was just too hard. I do think that like the battle cry as it got used in the sword board deck was really cool, like just as a way to have more swords later. That was pretty sick, but it didn't really get played outside of that, right? Like it was whatever. So yeah, there was this deck in standard that used Elwyn Boar to make the Sword of a Thousand Truths and shut your opponent out of the game, and against some decks you just needed more swords. So you played Xyrella because it would just get your sword back. I do think the hero power is cool. So it dealt 5 or healed 5, and I thought that was pretty sweet. Like it would rotate by turns. I don't really want to put her in... maybe she's a mid. I don't know. I'm gonna put her in pretty cool for now, but I might drop her. Kurtrus. So this is actually one of my favorites ever. I really like how the battle cry and the hero power have a ton of synergy with each other. So like the battle cry is 1 for 2 attack this turn, but it refreshes every time a minion attacks. And it's so satisfying to just be attacking with a bunch of rushers and get to refresh your hero power over and over again. I love that part of the card. But then it comes with 2 rushers when you play it that are bigger based on how much your hero has attacked. So you build your deck so that you have attacking with your hero matters. So if you're doing that before you draw Kurtrus, you've already invested in Kurtrus just because the little bats get bigger. And I think that's cool. And then getting to play things like something performers, Chumbus performers, the one that like you fill your board with 7 things, and then if you clear them all you get another 7. Anyways, getting to play things like that, and expendable performers, all right, thank you. And refresh your hero a bunch, especially when you have the Felheart. What is that card called? The 2-cost one that makes your hero power cost 0. Anyways, there's a 2 for 2/3 that makes your hero power cost 0. And so like setting that up in such a way that you get these giant bursty swing turns with Kurtrus is like some of the most satisfying turns I've had playing Hearthstone, I think. Kurtrus is one of my favorites. I think I'm going to put him in goated. How do you guys feel about that? I know a lot of people hate aggro Demon Hunter, but I think of this set of heroes, I'll have to think as we go through them, but other than like Guff, this one might be my favorite of all of them. It's cool top end. It's a dual class card. Totally blanking the name, me too. He's the coolest part of a lame archetype. I'll accept it. I actually did like that archetype though. All right, so yeah, I think he's goated. I think he's really cool. All right, so this one is gonna start off in goated, and we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna lower it. 1 or 2 tiers. Here's what's cool about the Headless Horseman. The Headless Horseman thematically is very cool. I love the idea of having him as a hero card. I like the silly rhyming Death Knights. They're silly. So I like the way this character is from World of Warcraft, and I like having that access in Hearthstone. I think the Headless Horseman Knight has strong Death Knight flavor, so having that as a hero card was pretty cool. The battle cry is all right. I don't love it. I like it just fine. So it destroys the highest attack enemy minion, which is okay. Like for 6 mana, destroying their biggest threat is okay, but then his hero power becomes pretty good. So 2 for deal 3 is a good hero power, and once you draw the head, it becomes 2 for deal 3, and you get to discover an undead thing. So then it's card advantage 2. Having to find the head in your deck is very funny, and I love that design. So anyways, I think the battle cry being unexciting, we lose a tier. The hero power also, I think Death Knight is reliant on corpses, and you lose that when you become the Headless Horseman. So I don't think that's a plus for it. And what's really going to take it out of the very cool and put it in the pretty cool is the runes. You have to run it in a rainbow deck. You can't just play it in a deck where it makes sense to play it. It has to be a rainbow deck. So you only get to play this card if it makes sense to play it, and if that deck is going to be rainbow. Maybe eventually there'll be a double blood or a double unholy deck that's good enough to run this thing. But I hate how restrictive it is. There's no reason for it to be that way. It's not that strong of a hero. Any Death Knight deck should be able to play a hero card of this power level and vague synergy, you know? Like, it doesn't really scream any of the colors. There's no reason for this to be locked into specific runes. Every time I get like stoked about this card, and then I think about how it's stupid rune locked, it makes me sad. I just wish they'd take the runes off of it. Anyways, so the runes I think are keeping it out of the very cools. It's pretty cool. I'm glad it exists, I guess. Even if it was runeless, it would be cut out mostly, right? Well, I think like triple blood decks would play it. I think it'd be nice. Could have been neutral like Primus, yeah. It'd be cool if discovering the head upgraded your hero power in different ways depending on your rune combination. How cool would that have been? They just like it's a cool card, but it could have been cooler. Then we have Zul'jin. Zul'jin's hero power makes me sad. I think I'm just gonna like auto put all these in goaded and then move them down, because that was way easier. Like, I don't want to have to hold on to it, you know? I'm gonna put it in goaded and then move them down. So Zul'jin, the hero power sucks. It's so boring. Like, I could see hero power being like slightly better than the base hero power on a much lower costed hero, right? Like on a 5-cost hero, it would make sense to have the hero power just be a slight improvement, but this is a 10 mana card, right? For 10 mana, we should be getting a better hero power, not a kind of better hero power. So it'll lose points for that. I do think the battle cry is cool. I generally like play everything in this subgroup that you've played this game type cards. I don't like them as much as I used to. They used to be a lot more novel, but I did like that. And I really liked Spell Hunter. Like, I love Spell Hunter. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. So I do like that part of it, but also the fact that it's 10 mana is like, it's so much mana. So I think it gets a pretty cool. I mean, it could almost drop to mid. Any mid thoughts? How do we feel about Zul'jin being mid instead of pretty cool? Not putting him in Yuck is criminal. He doesn't disgust me. I don't hate him. I'm gonna put him in mid. I think he's mid. Unlucky. All right, so then we have Scourgelord Garrosh. Scourgelord Garrosh is another one where the hero power is just so bad that you know he can't be goated. I would really love it if his hero power like gained him in armor whenever he killed something with it or something, or like, you know, like I think they thought about giving lifesteal to the hero power at one point, but they didn't want to punish people for having boards for the rest of the game, something like that. So like, at least, you know, have it refresh when it kills something, or, you know. Anyway, so like the hero power needs work for sure. The weapon is really cool. Dealing the 4 cleave, that was pretty cool. I think if its hero power was better, it would have been, you know, a lot more played for its time. I associate this with Dead Man's Hand from like, when was it getting played? It was like Ashes or Scholomance, somewhere around there. And you would play it because you had the Plague of Destruction or whatever it is, the 5-cost card that everything that was damaged got destroyed. So if that was part of your Dead Man's Hand loop, you could just use Garrosh to keep it active. So I do think Garrosh has to be mid, because like he had like one little like little time where he was good, but Plague of Wrath, thank you. He had one little moment where he was good, but otherwise he was just like not very playable, and his hero power is completely unexciting. Then we have Malfurion. So Malfurion looks cool. This card was like, it was the last standing Death Knight for a minute, right? No, it was this and Gul'dan. Were good by the end of Stormwind. Well, like would get played in archetypes that were where they mattered, right? I guess. So my point is, like, if you were playing a Druid deck in as recently as Stormwind, you were still playing Malfurion. All the other Death Knights, apart from Gul'dan, which was still good in a good deck, Reno even Death Knight was a good deck, or Reno even Warlock was a good deck. It was just like those two that were still relevant. But then Guff came out and changed this card to be bad, because you wanted to have the Guff hero power. You didn't want to play this later and turn off your Guff hero power. So like Guff invalidated Malfurion and you got it to stop seeing play. But it was a really good Druid card all the way up until then. And I like it because it was just a really solid element. Like it wasn't, I think it was perfectly costed to be the solid defensive tool that it was. And it was very satisfying to play, and it gave you like a mini tank up, or it gave you a bit of extra pressure depending on what point you were in the game. So yeah, I really like how versatile and just generally decent this card was. It felt pretty satisfying to play. I think I will put it in very cool. Like I don't love it like I love these two. Then we have Tamsin. So Tamsin, I love the deal 3, draw 3 aspect of this card. I don't like the turns off all your Highlander cards part of this card. And I don't like the randomly, like I want control over what's on my board, you know? So like getting random 3/3s is a very aggro positive effect. Like if I was playing an aggro deck, I would want to randomly get a bunch of 3/3s on my board. But if I'm playing a deck that wants to play a 6 mana gain 5 armor deal 3 to the board type of effect, I don't want to randomly get board locked with 3/3s. I'm not really doing anything with that. So like I've never really liked the portal part of it. And that extends to the hero power as well. I don't want to like randomly get 3/3s. So definitely like for the portals, I think it just loses 2. But I really like the character. The character is really cool, and the deal 3 and the 5 armor and the draw 3 is really cool. So plus like the cost that it is cool. This was good enough that we played it in Highlander decks for a long time. You know, like it didn't matter that we were turning off our Highlander decks for a little bit because the effect was so strong. High, pretty cool. We'll order once we get to the end, I guess. Does that sound good? We'll have all our information and we can order them. I forgot to put the Demon Hunter hero in Yuck. I sure didn't. It's awesome. This card's awesome. Not everyone has the sophistication to appreciate the the Kurtrus hero. Anyway, so next up we have Rexxar. Any Kexar fans? Where are my Kexar fans at? All right, so let me tell you a story about Kexar. My wife does not like to play player versus player.
Oh, it's Build-A-Bear.
She does not like to play player versus player. When she plays a card game, she likes to be able to play a little bit and then like go do something and come back, or get lost in thought and work on, you know, she wants to be half invested in games like this. But she thought building a beast was so fun that she would play a bunch of constructed just for this card for a good period of time. She was playing constructed Hearthstone for weeks because of Rexxar. And that is the only time that has ever happened. So that is my subjective low sample size reasoning for why Rexxar is so cool. But I agree too. There's something about building a beast that's always so fun. And I really wish that some kind of like the beast is discounted by 2 or something would get added to Rexxar, because I think he's awesome. So card design, I think he's cool. He looks cool. It gave Hunter some decent AoE, which it didn't have before. And it's like a cheap one. Yeah, whenever you get like a cheapy hero power or a hero card, it's kind of nice. And hero power should be 0? I don't think so. I'd rather like discount the beast by 2. It's less fun to not have to think about weaving it in, you know, like you just get a beast every turn. I'd rather like make the 2 mana payoff more exciting than make it like you just get to do it. That's the same, no? No. It's the same like net value, but you can't like play a 10 cost on 10 and still do that. Not that you would, but like think about like you like wanted to play a 3 and a 5 on 8. You wouldn't get to just do the hero power. You would still have to think about spots where you could commit the 2. So yeah, I'm gonna keep him up there because I like him and because my wife likes him. Galakrond. All right, so this is the Warlock Galakrond. I do like the idea of all the invokes and the hero power making 1/1s. that you use your invoke cards and your Plague of Flames to leverage. That part of it was cool, but the invoke cards also felt like, I know one of them got nerfed, but like they felt bad to play. Like they were pretty yucky cards, even if some of them were good. I think a lot of that could have been reworked. The part of this that really gets me is the random demons. There are too many demons that absolutely ruin you, right? There's like 3 mana 5/5 whenever you play a minion, you take 5 damage. Like there's so many like awful demons to roll off this thing that like it just doesn't feel exciting to get that battle cry. A lot of the time you'd rather just not have it. It's too random and the lows are too low. So honestly, I think yuck. I think that's one of my least favorite hero cards ever. It's definitely my least favorite Galakrond, and it would have been one of my favorites if its battle cry was different. You know, like if it had a cool battle cry instead of the gross one that it has, I'd have liked it as a Galakrond deck. But like the battle cry just takes all the fun out of it. Wow. You think that's too much? You think it shouldn't be in yuck? I think it's in yuck. I have no desire to play that. I hate it. Uther, I think, was the hero card I was most excited for when they showed it. One of the big reasons I really like it is because when you play Wrath of the Lich King, the World of Warcraft expansion, you get a strong sense that a lot of the Death Knights were paladins in the past. A lot of the important Death Knights were paladins, and it was like this paladin versus Death Knight kind of sense. That's how I got playing the game. So like for me, I feel like there's a lot of flavor in having Uther turn from a paladin to a Death Knight. So already I love it just because of that. The art looks really cool. The weapon was really cool. Like having a 5 attack lifesteal weapon that you get to use 3 times. Healing was much more premium back then, so it was really exciting to just be able to like have that 10 health swing turn and then get to keep getting health back a couple turns after. But also I win cards were much more premium back then. So like having the if you get out all 4 of the Horseman effect was so novel. So like I was just really excited for this card when it came out, and it didn't really disappoint. It was like I was out there like just playing Youthful Brewmaster to bounce back the horses so that I could like get my combo off super late game. It was terrible, but it was really fun. And I do really like getting to play this now as a win condition because we got the buddy singy guy, sing-along buddy. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I do wonder if I want him in goated or not. I think I want him in very cool. I don't think he's quite goated. What do you guys think? Weapon was kind of boring. I thought that it was exciting. If he was 8, it would be goated. Yeah, probably. I think he was like just slightly too restrictive. Now it just kind of all comes together once you get him online, right? It's not like you have to really work that hard to pull off the combo. So now that he is playable, it's not like it makes up for the fact that he was unplayable for so long. Uther goated, no questions. I do respect that perspective. I just don't think I like him quite as much as these ones. He's like, you know, I can tell that I'm going to make this switch at the end, you know, like he's like right on the border to where I'm not sure which one I should put him in. So then we have Frostlich Jaina, which, well, it's going to be hard. I know it's going in one of these two, but it's another one that's like right on the border. I think I don't know. So Frostlich Jaina was like the premier Death Knight of the expansion, right? She was in all the promotional content. What I really like about this one is, again, like healing was pretty premium still back then. Having an unlimited health effect was really novel. And the fact that it could pair with things like Ragnaros was pretty cool. So I really enjoyed that. I've always felt like it was just slightly a little bit too much mana. Like I would have rather it be at 8, especially because then you could play it on 10 and still ping. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of the ones that's fallen off the hardest, right? Like it was pretty good back in the day, and now it's like one of the most unplayable hero cards out there. Unfortunately, just like the level of impact it has is too low. But anyways, I've always loved this. I think this is one of my favorite parts about Mage ever. Like I remember liking Mech Mage when it first came out in GVG, but other than that, I don't think I really liked Mage that much until this card came out, and then I liked it a lot. I think I'm gonna put it in very cool. Kind of want to put it in goated. All right, so I think I'll put it in very cool. Scabbs. Scabbs is one of those where I'm like, why didn't this get unnerfed? It's very similar to Valera the Hollow in like it gives you this immediate defensive battle cry, and then like the hero power is like the reason you're more excited about it, I guess. I don't know. This one's battle cry is, I think, better than Valera's because it gives you those stealth things. Anyways, I do think the design is cool. It's got like strong rogue stealth for the battle cry. I think the hero power maybe doesn't make a lot of sense as far as synergy with the battle cry. I feel like they got designed separately, right? Like the whole card doesn't quite tie in together. So I don't know. I think this card is fine. Maybe it's just a little, what is it about this that's boring? It's like, it's just a vanish and it gives you some guys. I was talking about it so positively, but like when I'm like searching my feelings, I don't have strong feelings for this card. I wonder if part of it is I just don't like Scabbs as a character. Like, what if this was like a more interesting character on the thing? Would I like it better? It's just a good card, but not very exciting. But that's how I feel about Malfurion. It was just good, but I love it, you know? I think this is also just more niche. Like, you would slap this in every Druid deck, and this is like, you know, like, you need to be running some kind of reactive thing. That, you know what, it might be in the wrong class. That might be what it is. Like, I feel like it's a pretty reactive card in a proactive class. I don't know. I'll admit, the reason that this ended up in pretty cool instead of higher might be for weird gut reasons. Like, I might not have a good reason. Something about this is boring to me. I think it's just the fact that it's Scabbs. All right, Brucon. This card, I was like, I remember at the time, that was when, so Fraction and Alterac was when Shudderwock went from everyone's pet deck to an actual meta monster. That was the time when it happened. So this set, when Brucon came out. So when I saw this card teased, I was like, Shaman needed a good hero card. Why? Why are we stuck with the stupid hero power forever? Why can't it have a good hero power? And boy, was I wrong. Not only is this hero power awesome, but not only was it really good, but it's also really fun. All of the hero powers are really satisfying. Like, he has a lot of energy when you play him, and you get to pick, getting to pick between those two when you play the battle cry is very satisfying and versatile feeling. I think this might be my favorite card in all of Shaman now. Shudderwock has become a little boring in the last couple years. Like, it's not the novelty that it used to be, but so I don't know. This is Shudderwock's competition, at least. I'm a big Shudderwock fan, for those of you who didn't know. It's my favorite card. It's my official favorite card. I say it that way because things might have changed. I haven't like taken the time to decide. But anyways, I love Brucon. I think it's so cool. 8 and 9 mana for hero cards is a world of distance. That's true too. Yeah, like if this was 9, it would probably not be nearly as cool. So then we have Tavish. All right, so Tavish was at his coolest right after his first rotation. He was still in standard. Right after that rotation that came out while he was still in standard. When his secret pool went down and you could pretty reliably get the explosive trap, it was nice that he was great value for Beast Hunter while also being a very consistent quest mage counter. So you didn't have to run stupid cards like Flare in your deck because you had a really strong game plan against quest mage regardless because of Tavish. Then he got more secrets throughout the year, as well as once he rotated, he had the secrets he lost at the rotation re-added back to his pool. And now he's completely unreliable. He's got like a bunch of clutter in his pool. So I think he's less cool now. I see a bunch of you saying like you wish he would keep getting secrets, and I think like nah. he doesn't need every secret in that pool. I do think it would be cool if he could keep motion denied but lose some of the other ones he has. That'd be nice. But yeah, so like I'm torn because when he lost secrets and became better, I didn't want him to be worse by getting them back, but I didn't want an incomplete card, right? Like, he had those secrets before. So anyways, I don't know that affects his tier slot, actually. That's just me digressing about him. But so I do think it's funny when he goes, I think that's funny. And I do think the hero power is cool, except that he summons Rexxar's pets. I think it would be a lot cooler if he summons Tavish's pets, you know what I mean? Like, why is he summoning Rexxar's pets? For that alone, I think he has to lose at least one tier. But he's good and very cool, I think. All right, then we have the Priest Galakrond, which not beat around the bush, it's going straight to Yaku. It's much too random for me. It pulls from a very bad group of minions. Maybe like the fact that most of my experience with this in Wild is coloring my opinion for it, but like, oh my goodness, how awful it is to pull most of the things you get off of that. 2 mana to add a horrible card to your hand? It's so awful. All you have to do is change that from get to discover, and instantly I like the card. I do like the battle cry well enough. I think it would be more fun if the invoke cards were actually worth running, but like, it got the control Galakrond got the best aggro invoke, like the 1 for 1/2 invoke, every other Galakrond wanted that more than this one. So like its invokes are so awkward, they don't really like fit together very well in my opinion. And the hero power is much too random in a like the only pool worse than random priest minions is random demons for the other Galakronds. So I gotta give that a yuck. It's not quite there. Warrior Galakrond. So this one, I think what I really like about this one is that the battle cry and the hero power have a lot of synergy. The battle cry is getting you strong minions and the hero power is giving you pressure. So like you're playing a mid-range deck and this is doing a lot for you in that regard. I also like that it gave warrior draw, because like warrior draw is historically bad. I know that they're pretty good right now, but historically warrior draw is bad. So like having the access to all that draw in warrior was really cool. And I don't know, I really like strong mid-range cards, and this was one of them. So I do really like this one a lot. The invokes again I think could use some work. In particular, Awaken or whatever it was, the one that deals 1 to all of the minions on board. I think that one being one of its better invokes is part of why it hasn't manifested in Wild very much since the dragon got reverted, because anything you'd want to put it in isn't something that you want to deal 1 to your whole board. Like you couldn't make a pirate Galakrond deck with 2 copies of a card that nukes your own side of the board. You know, all of your cheapy pirates would die to the Awaken. So anyways, clunky invokes, it'll lose a tier for that. But I otherwise really like this card. Then we have Hagatha. I've learned that a lot of people are nostalgic for this card. So Battlecry deal 3 to all minions is like, you know, you come over here, 2 mana less and does more things. Battlecry deal 3 damage to all minions. I think this was a lot better at the time. Like paying 8 for deal 3 to everything was a lot better when it was released, but it certainly doesn't excite me now. And like, it's Battlecry is so, or not its Battlecry, its hero power is so random. Like it's another one of those ones where like it pulls random stuff from a pool that has a lot of duds. And like they've done a lot over the years to pull the overload out of a lot of these overload cards, but like they were all in full force back then. This is before buffing. So like there's a lot of like totem specific cards and overload cards that you were pulling when you were playing minions with Hagatha. So like it felt bad to play in my opinion, and bad to play against when my opponent was rolling like good stuff. So I just I'm not a fan of the battle cry. Anyways, mid. I don't think it's a yuck. I think it has some positives. Also, I like the character a lot. Man, should Garrosh come out here just for being a cool character that I like? I don't know. I will say what was really cool about Hagatha. So Frozen Throne came out and it had a hero card for each character. Then they took Kobolds and Catacombs off and didn't release a hero card. And then starting in Witchwood, all the way through Rosticon's Rumble, they had 1 hero card every set. And I thought that was going to go on that way forever. And I thought that was really cool. We don't need every class to have a hero card whenever we do hero cards. I thought it was cool to trickle them in, and then they stopped and I was sad. So this was the first of a year-long trend that I thought was really cool. Next we have Bloodreaver Gul'dan. So Bloodreaver Gul'dan summons demons, but it doesn't do it randomly. Like you build your deck specifically to resummon specific demons. There are some really cool demons to get back, as we all know. I think a lot of people have nostalgia for Q-Block. Raise your hand if you're a Q-Block hater. Mods, get ready. We've got some people who are going to expose themselves. You're a Q-Block lover? All right, Ghoster, you can stay. Where are the haters? I need to hear from you right now. Just kidding, you're allowed to hate Q-Block. So anyways, yeah, I really like that. I really like it in Reno Warlock too. It's just, it's, you know, it's gonna be tough to pick from this tier, but I think this one might be my favorite ever. Strong thematics too. Like everything about this card is 10 out of 10. Then we have the amazing Reno. The battle cry I've always liked. So unlike new Reno, it doesn't get rid of things that are like dormant. Like it got rid of everything regardless of like death rattles and stuff, which was kind of cool because that was novel back then, and it was locked behind 10 mana. That part of it I've always liked. I've always liked that part of it. The hero power made it my least favorite card in the game for a long time. The game has changed so much since then that it's hard for me to even relate to that old part of myself, you know? I still don't think like a bunch of random generation is my favorite part of the game. Like I don't like it, but I'm much more tolerant of it today than I was a few years ago. A couple years ago, like the fact that this thing did random stuff constantly, I didn't want to play it and I didn't want to play against it. I just did not want it to be on the board. As soon as this hit the board, I was having less fun. So like, if we're looking at it from all time, it's going straight to yuck just for that. It's just like, since then, can I appreciate it with a different perspective? And I think maybe I hate it less, but I don't think it's mid. I think it's yuck. Then we have Magister Dawngrasp. So Magister, I really like Hero Power Mage conceptually. And I think most of the times it's manifested, I've liked it too. Generally cool card. Everything that's negative about Magister Dawngrasp has really just been negative about Quest Mage. So like, big fan, Magister Dawngrasp. I don't think I want it in Goated though. I think I want it in Very Cool. Cause like, I do really like it, but I don't love it like I like some of the other ones. All right, then we have Shaman Galakrond. This is my favorite Galakrond because not only is the hero card itself really fun to play, like I like having the improved, every hero power is an improvement on the base Shaman hero power, other than even Shaman. So like, it's always nice to have a different hero power, and this one was pretty good. You know, like you would get either a 2/1 or you'd get to deal 2 to a minion as a removal, so that was pretty good. And it was very exciting to fully invoke this thing and make all the 8/8s that rush. But unlike the other Galakronds, all of its invokes felt good to play too. Like all of its synergies were also good. That was part of it. Like you could build your deck for the Galakrond and it didn't make you unhappy that you had to run a bunch of crap. So yeah, I really liked it for that reason. In Barons, it was like hard carrying the class, right? So like, I don't know, I really like it. I'm not going to put it in Very Cool. I think I'm going to keep it in Goated. Warrior Galakrond is cooler. I think so in some ways, but the invokes in Warrior Galakronds are cringe. Like the invoke cards. Like I like the weapon and that's it. Then we have Rogue Galakrond, which I think is chat's favorite. Not each and every one of you in chat, but I think whenever like doing Reno Rogue, for example, comes up, people want me to build for this Galakrond. And this is another one where the class invoke cards are yucky. Like it has some really bad ones. Like that 1-cost one that gives a minion +1 attack and invokes. What's good about that is that it costs 1, and then that's it. That's all that's good about it. So there's that. I think I like its battle cry. I've come around on lackeys, I think. At the time, I didn't like lackeys, but now I like them. Like, it's much more acceptable randomness because it pulls from a smaller group of stuff. All you have to do is change get to discover, and suddenly I like, you know, getting lackeys. But the fact that they're always random is like, I remember rolling my eyes a lot of the time and be like, all right, if they got the kobold, I'm dead. And then it's the kobold and I die. So I didn't love that. I like the battle cry. I hate the invoke cards. And I don't love the hero power. I don't like actively dislike this one like I do these ones, but I'm not excited to play this because it comes with a baggage of the yucky invoke cards. Then we have Jaraxxus, the original hero. I thought that this card was cooler before it was a hero card, which isn't to say that I'm not happy with the change. Like, I prefer this version of Jaraxxus to the old one. But what I liked about it is coming from WoW TCG and going to Hearthstone, seeing Jaraxxus, I was like, what a clever way to include master heroes in Hearthstone. I just thought that it was a really clever card. So it lost what made it special when it became a hero card, is all I'm saying. But like, I have a lot of nostalgia for Jaraxxus. I think the character is very funny, and I think that the effects are nice. I really like the hero, the cost down to 8. Like when it was 9, it was a little harder to play. I think I got to put it in Goated, but a lot of that comes from how much I loved it in Classic. You know, it was probably my favorite card in Classic. What is a master hero? It works like heroes do. Like you would start with a hero in WoW TCG and then it would replace it. Guff! Look how heavy the Goated section is. I think we might end up trimming, right? We'll take a second look at this and like really examine, like, you know, does Galakrond hold up to Bloodreaver Gul'dan? We might trim. Don't worry, you're a positive individual. I try. Guff. So in general, when it comes to mana cheat, I prefer extra mana to discounted card. I like to have more mana to play with than I do like to play things that I've turned into 0. So generally I like ramp. In card games that have ramp, I'm usually ramping. Like Lorcana, blue is my favorite color. The nice thing about Guff compared to other ramp spells is it gives you ramp the whole game. You know what I mean? Otherwise, in Hearthstone, your ramp is fixed. You can get ahead, but then your opponent will eventually catch up to you and you're playing on an even playing field in that regard. So having it unlock the 20 crystals to have the, like, I've actually ramped more than you can catch up to makes Guff special. Druid was a class that I was not playing a lot around the time, like before Guff came out, in the years leading to it, the 2 to 3 years leading to it. Druid was not a class that I played a lot. Then Guff came out, and I'm pretty sure Druid has been my favorite class the whole time since then. So like, I can like search my feelings for what card I want to be my favorite, but I think Guff might be my favorite card in the game if you look at it practically. If you study Martian's habits and as an objective observer determine what you think Martian's favorite card is, it is probably Guff Wildheart. So I think I gotta put him in the goated. Who hates to hear that? Who's sickened that I would like Guff? Something I am not too fond of is how much it laughs at later tax card. Loatheb / Bully's effect becomes so minuscule around 12 mana crystals. Good. Unsubbed. Ah, brutal. Then we have Reno Hero. So I'm going to talk about some things I don't like about this card, and I'm going to talk about the super secret thing that I really hate about this card. So first of all, Highlander is a popular archetype that a lot of people want to play. All right. I am one of them. I like playing Highlander decks. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that Highlander can be played in all classes and a lot of people like to do it. When Highlander is playable, there's going to be a lot of Highlander on ladder. When a neutral Highlander card is good, it's going to be in a lot of decks. This thing destroying dormant effects, like vanishing dormant cards, means that a high proportion of opposing decks are going to be able to delete win conditions that are dormant cards. And maybe you like that because you don't like dormant win conditions, and like putting, like, whether or not that's true, whether or not I agree with that aside, Hearthstone builds decks to have those win conditions. So the game is being built in such a way that you will have things like the Juggernaut or Sargeras as a win con. That's the game we're playing. And when that thing goes away permanently and you just lose, and like 40% of things on ladder are gonna have this card in it, that's a feels bad. It would be different if Hearthstone it wasn't trending in that type of direction. The benefit of dormant, so that's just when it comes to permanent persistent things that you can't otherwise get rid of. But dormant as a general keyword, when it goes down to things like Pelican, the benefit of that, of having a dormant thing, is that it dodges removal. So having something that hits those, I think, is also lame. Dormanting your own things so that you can use it on a later turn is a really cool interaction, and having a common clear remove those things undermines dormant as a mechanic. So I don't like it for that reason. Your opponent only gets to play one board space the following turn is one of the biggest app closers for me in the whole game right now. If I'm playing off stream and my opponent does this to me and I don't have some way to punish them for that, like if I'm not playing a deck that has a bunch of like in-hand burst damage, if I lose that game, I don't queue again. Like, I go do something else. I hate it. It's such an obnoxious effect, and I'm actually shocked that this has received 2 nerfs and neither of them has touched on the like truly obnoxious part of the card. Like, you're skipping your opponent's turn. Unconditional, one-sided board clear that prevents your opponent from redeveloping the turn after. It's so obnoxious. Like, I don't understand how that effect even exists, much less having survived 2 nerfs. So anyways, that's my take on the card generally. I do think that the hero power is a little more random than I'd like. I do like the Brukan because it's a little more succinct, and you get to choose 2 up front, which I think is a big difference. I don't hate the Reno hero power, but I don't love it either. So anyways, those are all the reasons I don't like it mechanically. But there's a secret extra reason why I don't like Reno, and that's because it homogenizes the hero that I'm looking at. The fact that this card doesn't change at all dependent on the class that's playing it just makes Hearthstone generally more boring. Circling back to Highlander is a popular strategy, and neutral cards that are good in Highlander are gonna get played. Every Highlander deck that you run into is gonna be this guy by the end of it. So you're always looking at this portrait when you are playing Highlander or when you're playing against Highlander. It's just his face is too many places, and it makes it harder to justify including hero cards in your Highlander deck. Like, it lowers the bar for cards, right? You just need things that are standalone pretty good, and hero cards, that's generally how they are. So before with Highlander, you would have this extra spot to include your hero cards you couldn't otherwise justify playing. And now you just have this like way over the top broken card that fills the hero card role. So it's a lot harder to justify including different hero cards. This guy is always replacing your portrait. So like I feel like it has made Hearthstone aesthetically less interesting just because the neutral hero doesn't change. All you have to do is like when you're Demon Hunter and you play this guy, he gets like Illidan horns, or maybe he gets a fancy robe and a staff of fire when he becomes mage, just stuff like that. You know, like have him change how he looks dependent on which class plays him, and suddenly he's so much less boring. But every single class becoming this exact thing is incredibly boring. So I think this is the bottom of the yuck tier. I hate so much about this card. Then we have Cariel. Cariel is cool. I think Battlecry, really cool. Hero power, really boring. So I think for the hero power, she's got to go to pretty cool. But I really like the effect. I really like the character. Man, does the character bump her up to very cool? I think she's on the border. I just really don't like the hero power. I think the hero power is boring. Cariel's frustrating the weapon. Yeah, it is frustrating that sometimes your opponent's running a sticky finger in the ETC and they get your weapon. I agree. Weapon is cringe. You guys don't like the weapon? I think the weapon's cool. Especially at 8, I think she's completely acceptable. I don't know. I think pretty cool. I really don't like the hero power. The hero power is boring to me. All right, then we have Alakir, which is like interesting on paper, really dumb in practice. I'm so tickled when they went to buff this card, they just raised its armor. So Alakir, the original Alakir card is a giant pile of keywords. The battle cry is cool because it references the original card. You get to draw a charge minion, a divine shield minion, a taunt minion, and a wind fury minion from your deck, because that's what Alakir had. And I do like how that relates. The problem with it is those types of minions aren't worth drawing. Like, most Wind Fury minions are bad. The Wind Fury things that are good are the things that give Wind Fury to minions that are good. Things that have Wind Fury on them already tend to be pretty bad because the keyword is so powerful. The card is overall worse to justify having such a strong keyword. And the Divine Shield minions that Shaman has access to are pretty much all neutral minions. So there aren't any like strong Shaman class Divine Shield minions to discover except for original Alakir. So your options are pretty limited as far as like what to find with the Divine Shield minion. Taunt minions, what's even a good Shaman taunt minion? Can't even think of anything off the top of my head. But like you can find a taunt minion that would be okay to play, but taunt as a keyword in general has lost a lot of value over the years. Charge would be good, but again, you're mostly looking at neutral minions for charge, and they haven't been printing them. So like most charge minions are old cards tend to be worse. There's just not a lot of good stuff to find. Your good options are few. Among those good options, the ones that go well together are few. So like the Battlecry is cool flavor wise, but in practice it doesn't work. You can't build your deck to do that and also build your deck to take advantage of the hero power. So like the hero power is very good. The hero power is your hero gets Wind Fury, Divine Shield, and to attack this turn. That's phenomenal. You could play that and play a bunch of cards that give your hero plus attack, and then it's a cool win condition. The problem is you can't build for that and also build your deck to take advantage of the battle cry. The battle cry effectively is battle cry do nothing in a deck like that. Maybe you'll have one taunt minion, maybe you'll have one Divine Shield minion. You mentioned Ziliax, like I guess that makes sense. So like now that we have new Ziliax, maybe this card is a little bit better, but you're drawing like one thing. So like 7 mana, draw one thing isn't that good. So I just like, even if the hero power was strong enough to justify Battlecry do almost nothing, the Battlecry would still be sad, right? Like we'd still be missing out on that element of the card. I just hate how hard it is to build around this card completely, and for that I can't give it any better than mid, and I almost want to put it in yuck. It has a couple of things going for it. Like I think the hero power is really cool, and I think the on paper design of the Battlecry is flavorful, so like I guess I can give it a mid, but yeah. All right, then we have Dr. Boom. So Dr. Boom, giving all of your mechs rush was good at the time. Pretty inconsequential nowadays. Like every time this has gotten played since it got its nerf reverted, it hasn't been because you're playing the one cost spell that gives you a bunch of mechs. So the battle cry isn't as relevant today as it used to be. I do think that's fun, but when it was in standard, I really liked the battle cry and I liked some of the hero powers. The strength of the hero powers is too varied, right? Like if I need a little bit of value, I want that drone. I want like the armor. The battle cry is already giving you like removal, so the fact that there's like 3 removal hero powers is just redundant, right? Like it doesn't need to, 3 out of every 5 turns doesn't need to be deal 3 but not to face, or deal 1 to everything. The 3 rushing mechs, like the drones one, already takes care of the deal 1 wide. That's more interesting. I don't need to also have deal 1 to everything and 1 to face. I guess if they'd taken that one off, it wouldn't have felt like there were so many low rolls to every situation, and I would have liked it a little better. So like, that's the reason I can't put him in goated. But I do think he's very cool. I will say, Boomsday Project, I don't like it, and not for the reason you think. The reason I don't like Boomsday Project is because it took Dr. Boom, who felt like a very funny Dr. Doom reference, and made him act like the Joker, like he was a funny Dr. Doom reference. Dr. Doom is my favorite Marvel character. He was a funny Dr. Doom reference, which is why I liked him so much when he first came out. And then starting in Boomsday Project, he became a Joker character. That's all he is to me now. He's like cackly Joker character, which, is fine for what it is, but it's not like the same level of love for it. These are all just like excuses for why he's not goated, by the way. I still love this card. I have a lot of nostalgia for playing this card. I think it's pretty fun. Then we have Thrall. This card was purposely made terrible as a panic move, as far as I know. I remember hearing like this was supposed to be a freeze card, but they decided that the freeze mechanic, like the freeze shaman archetype in Knights of the Frozen Throne, they decided too late that it was going to create more bad feelings than positive feelings. And so they made all the freeze cards bad and they changed what he did. That is my understanding of what happened. The same thing happened with Inspire. Like it was too late when they decided that Inspire needed to be changed to a different keyword. And so all they could do was make it a little weaker rather than go back to the drawing board and coming up with a new keyword. So anyways, that's what happened with Free Shaman and Knights of the Frozen Throne. I'm not a big fan of Evolve Shaman. I don't think Evolve Shaman is interesting, generally. But setting aside the fact that I don't like it and just looking at it through the lens of if there's going to be Evolve Shaman, evaluate this as an Evolve Shaman card. I love the Battle Cry. I don't like the Hero Power. The Hero Power is too weak. I think the Hero Power should do adjacent minions too. Like then it keeps working with the payoffs that are designed for these archetypes. Like the rabbits are 3, the doppelgangster is 3. The primary Evolve Shaman target is always 3 things. So if the hero power was 2 for evolve all 3 things, it would be clean, it would be fun. But because it only hits 1, you're paying 5 mana to evolve 1 rabbit, and then you have 2 1/1s. This needs to hit all the things, or at least 3. So that's why I think adjacent would be cool, because then you don't just have like a whole evolve everything. And finally we have Rokara. So post buff is really cool because it gives you 10 armor, so it gives you another card to activate your shield shatter like you would with Frozen Buckler. So that's cool. I do like the battle cry. I like the weapon, not as much as some of the other weapons among hero cards, but I do like it. And I like that, like the flavor of the Cariel and Rokara weapons is cool. The hero power I don't like as much because it's more dependent on what my opponent is doing. That makes it inflexible. Dealing 2 to my opponent's face, as we covered with Zul'jin, is not exciting to get off of a hero card. So like, at least for 2 mana, like I do like it off of Kurtrus, but that's cost 1 and it's repeatable, so it's different. Same thing with Shadowreaper Anduin. It's repeatable, goes with Raza, it's cool. So anyways, the fact that it gives you more armor is cool, but it's actually less armor because you don't always have a good honorable kill target. So I do think while I like the extra armor and I like the weapon, I don't like the hero power very much at all, and that keeps it out of goated. But I think I like it more than Dr. Boom, so it's definitely not going down to pretty cool. So let's see. now we have to edit this a bit. I do think that this card, I don't think is, like, these ones, I don't have a lot of love for them. And this is on the border, so I think they have to go down to mid. And then, so this would be easier if, I think if I do S tier first, because, like, it's better. I feel very strongly about these ones being yucky, so I don't want to drop these ones. So I can order these now, right? I think I'm happy with these tiers. Anyways, so I think this might currently be my favorite card in the game, so it's got to be pretty high. I think this card I have the most nostalgia for ever, so I might want to maybe put it in one of these two slots. This was my favorite thing in Classic. Maybe I like this one better. I think I like this better. I like this deck better. Not currently. Like the old versions of Raza Priest. So maybe... that feels good to me. I'm happy with that. Then... yep. I actually don't have a very strong feelings about this tier. I don't know where, maybe like that. Then nice. All right, that's my final tier list. It's the meta tier. Your feelings seem on point. Okay, fair enough. Now we need one for legendary spells, weapons, and quests or quest lines. The inspiration for this today is I wanted content to make a video with, but I didn't want to play any Hearthstone. That's why I'm doing this. So if you want to do legendary spells, weapons, quests, and quest lines, we'll see how this does and maybe return to it. All right, rate me on a scale from 1 to 10. Rate me on a scale from yuck to goated. How is my tier list? Goated? Goat? Nice. What's so great about Jaina? How dare you? Pretty cool. Points reduced because of Guff. How dare you? Boo goated. Thank you, Pug. All right, everyone's saying 10 out of 10 and goated is goated. Everyone else is mid to yuck tier.